Welcome to Stygia, by the way. This is the dark kingdom of iron, as we say when we want to be melodramatic. And if you can't be melodramatic when you're a wraith, when can you be? This is the dead world for the European and North American and other similar wraiths. The white man's afterlife, you could call it. One of the most popular ones around. It's only moderately hideous compared with all the others. Here you are in the necropolis of Chicago. Each major city has its own necropolis, run by various wraiths. And you can walk, yes, you can walk out onto the streets. You can walk out through that wall there. It'll hit you a little bit, cost you a bit of yourself, but you can walk through walls and then walk through the streets and walk through people and look at all that you've lost and all that you cannot affect. Most wraiths do. That we avoid the people. We try and climb above them, try and avoid impact. The dictum mortem. It's a decree by Charon that the dead have nothing to do with the land of the living. We must leave it completely alone. Understood? Never interfere. And now that you've understood that, I can tell you, basically, don't get caught is the main rule. Because if you're caught, well, let's just say we don't have ways of making prisons or bonds or confining you or fining you. So the punishment here tends to be a little bit more direct and utterly terminal. Find friends, find allies, find a group to be in. I recommend joining the Heirarchy. They're the rulers of Stygia, laid down a long time ago, like Charon himself. Charon, one of the first ghosts, one of the first wraiths. He attempted to guide all wraiths towards transcendence, at least. That's what his story was. And he founded an empire which conveniently needed him on top. The empire changed. It followed the fashions. It was a Roman empire initially that dictated its shape. Then it became feudal. And there's even more recently been some attempts at putting in a bit of democracy, nominally. You can imagine how well those have gone on. Anyway, they rule Stygia, the hierarchy of the legions. I will explain about those later. And then that's the superficial Shadowlands. As you go deep into the Tempest itself. The Tempest, you know where it is. Just feel the sucking at your feet. Not literally, metaphorically, the call of oblivion. Step away from the Skinland, step away from this world, and you will step into the Tempest, into the dark world below us. Step towards the labyrinth, where the spectres roam and where the very maw of oblivion is open. But there are places, islands of stabilities in there. Like the city of Stygia itself, from which the Heirarchy rule, and many other small places of stability. And then there are the far shores, distant islands, legendary, though some people have returned from them. They used to be heavens, it was said, back when everything was perfect during the inevitable golden age that nobody ever quite has any evidence for. But when Karen was young, some went out to the far shores and set up paradises to aid wraiths towards transcendence, to lift them up. But everything grows dark here, and a few centuries later, wraiths came back with stories of torture, of kingdoms run by despotic demigods, of hells of various religions created. That's what the returnees said, and that's what the heretics deny. So it must be true. The heretics? Well, imagine your shock on finding yourself dead. Imagine the shock of some deeply devout priest or saint or imam or whatever. They die and they wait for their reward, for at least for their explanations, and they find none. And they're lost here with other souls, cynical souls. This cannot be the heaven. This cannot be the explanation they're looking for. So, what do? They cling on to their old beliefs. They try and find the mysteries that had eluded them. They form cults and they reform their belief. What is it? What is the next step? What is their God or their karma waiting for them to do here? How can they purge the last bit of them, of imperfection in themselves or in others? Yes, are rebels as well. The heretics are rebels, but not all rebels are heretics. You're basically here, you're a rebel of some sort, you're a heretic, or you're part of the hierarchy. I strongly recommend the hierarchy if you want a long and semi-prosperous non-existence. The hierarchy are the way to go. We stand against oblivion. We're the last barrier against the complete destruction of everything that is worthwhile. Yeah, that's even kind of true. Oh, they're hideously corrupt and evil, but less so than most in the Shadowlands.